scientists at Queen's are working on treatments and vaccines to try to help us all.
I didn't have a chance of going to Queen's, so I was quite shocked when they accepted me. I had a brilliant time, made loads of friends. A lot of the stories I write about now came from that time.
Queen's University of Belfast is one of important partners of BIT in Europe.
I'm also honored to be associated with the Institute that seeks to address the global challenge of building a peaceful, secure, and inclusive world.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for being here with us. You're very, very welcome to today's webinar on undergraduate study at Queen's University Belfast. I hope that video was playing okay for you. I know it was rolling a little bit slowly at my side, but hopefully you caught most of that broadcast. My name is Anya O'Connor and I'm the Senior International Officer for North America at Queen's. And I'm joined this evening by my colleague, Peter Brimstone. Peter's there, he's going to give us a little wave. Hi, Peter. So we're really happy to have you with us today. The purpose of today's webinar is really to give you an introduction to Queen's and provide an orientation to all the key information that you might want to know about if you or if one of your children are thinking about applying for undergraduate study at Queen's in 2022. So we're going to cover lots of information. The session is scheduled to run for about an hour. We imagine that we will be presenting to you for about 40, potentially 45 minutes because we've lots to cover. And then we're going to leave around 15 minutes at the end of today's session for any questions that you might have. So I know that there are people joining us from across the US and Canada. Thank you for giving up some of your time on a Sunday. We are very grateful for that. And please do feel free to use the chat box as we go throughout the session. So Peter's going to keep an eye on that for the first half of the session, and then whenever I hand over to Peter, I'll be working on that myself. So we'll answer some questions as we go, and we'll also do a little bit of a roundup at the end of today's session as well. So we can engage with a few more questions at the end. But without any further ado, I'm going to start our presentation. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of a run through of what we're going to cover then. As I said, we're going to provide an introduction to Queen's. We're going to say a little bit about why you might want to think about studying in Northern Ireland. We think it's a very special place, but if you haven't been here before, we want to use this opportunity to tell you why. We're going to talk about what you can study at Queen's University. Our system is a little bit different, as are all UK and Ireland universities, a bit different from the US and Canada. So we're going to explore that with you. And we're going to talk about the student experience. So what's it actually like to study at Queen's University? At the end of the session, we're going to get into the real nuts and bolts of things. We're going to look at the admissions process, how you apply to study with us, and also talk about the fees at the university and the funding opportunities that exist for students. And as I said, we're going to finish up with some time for Q&A. So any questions at all, whether they seem very little questions or quite big ones, please do pop them into the chat, and that's where we'll be fielding those from. So Queen's University Belfast, you can see our beautiful main campus in the background of the photograph there. We are located in Belfast City. So we are very much a campus university. All of our teaching happens in and around this main site. And we're the 9th oldest university in the UK. So there's a very rich heritage at Queen's. We were actually founded in 1845, so we celebrated our 175th birthday last year. Unfortunately, it was a Zoom birthday party, as was everything else last year, but we will be making up for lost time this year with our full return to campus. The university is a member of the Russell Group. If you haven't heard of the Russell Group before, essentially this is a group of 24 research-intensive universities in the UK. It has been compared to the Ivy League, and it's just really a helpful way to think about how you distinguish institutions within the UK. Our student staff ratio is 15:1. That's very good by UK standards. So lots of staff built into all of our programming, making sure that students get excellent support throughout their academic experience. And finally, we have cutting edge research at the university. So coming back to that research intensive institution that's marked by the Russell Group, that's something we perform very highly in at Queen's. So we're currently ranked first in the UK for research intensity. And essentially what that means is we are a leading university for academic staff engaged in research. So we have a very high density of our academic staff actually leading in the work that they do, which means that all of our students are taught by people who are really cutting edge in their field, and they're drawing all of that research into the teaching that they provide to our students. So a few fast facts. We have Queen's in numbers here for you. So the university is quite a large institution. We have 24,000 students. Over 3,500 of those students are international. And what we mean by that is that those students are from outside the EU. And over 200 students from North America. So we welcome quite a large number of students from the US and Canada each year. In terms of staff, our staff are split across 3 faculties, and we're going to say a little bit more about those faculties later on in terms of what you can study. And we have 3,500 faculty and staff members. So we wanted to say a little bit about what we're known for. We often find with these webinars that people come to us for different reasons. Maybe you've met with myself and Peter before. Maybe you had a family member who studied at Queen's, but people often have very varying levels of knowledge about the institution. So a few things that you might have heard of us for. Firstly, our history and heritage. So as I said, we are one of the oldest universities in the UK and Ireland. We were originally founded as one of 3 Queen's colleges on the island of Ireland. We're the only one that still bears the Queen's name to this day. We are known for world-class research, as I said, #1 in the UK for research intensity and part of the Russell Group. Something that we love to boast about, modestly I hope, but we do like to mention it, is our very beautiful campus. And in fact, the campus has been voted to be one of the most stunning campuses in the UK multiple times. So you can see there again our beautiful Charles Lanyon built Lanyon building, which is really the centre of our campus. But all the way around our campus, outside of that main building, we have beautiful Victorian architecture. So no matter where you're studying in Queen's, whether it's in one of the more historic buildings or one of our more modern buildings, you're guaranteed to be in a space that really wows the students that are there. So that's something that I think is really attractive for the student experience. We have lots of transatlantic links that we're very proud of as well. We do have very strong relationships across the USA and Canada. So we are partnered with a wide range of universities across North America. But we also have some, I suppose, friends of Queen's who we work with very closely. Senator Mitchell, for whom we have the Mitchell Institute for Global Peace, Security and Justice. Bill Clinton, for whom we have the Clinton Leadership Institute, which is based in our management school, where all our business programs are. And of course, our current Chancellor is Hillary Rodham Clinton. We're an institution that really care very deeply about civic and social responsibility. And if this is something that's important to you too, something that we would refer you to is our social charter. So that's a really interesting part of our website. You can go and see a lot more about the university's values, the types of projects that we invest in, and importantly, the sorts of opportunities that we provide to our students. So we are very engaged in the community here in Northern Ireland, but also our global community too. And that's bedded into the programs that we teach in terms of volunteering programs and internship opportunities as well. So I mentioned that our Chancellor is currently Secretary Hillary Rodham Clinton. She's actually going to be on campus with us again next week for a very special graduation ceremony. So this is something we're very proud of. It's just a way of again noting our strong links with the United States. And of course, it's an honour for us to have someone with Secretary Clinton's experience coming to support the university in all that we do. So I mentioned our campus, and you've seen some photographs to date of our very historic buildings. This is a slightly more modern view. So what you can see in front of you there is our computer science building, which is a real area of strength at Queen's. And we have built a range of specialist facilities across the campuses. So to give you a sense of what some of those are, we have a Sonic Arts Research Centre. This is where a lot of our music and music technology programs are based. That is one of the leading centres of its kind in Europe. So not just in the UK, not just in Ireland, but actually across the entirety of Europe. So if you are interested in audio engineering, music technology, anything of that nature, this is really something that you must go and explore. And we have lots of information about that on our website. We have the Queen's Film Theatre, which is also based on our campus. So this is a beautiful little cinema, and it's actually also the home to the Brian Friel Theatre. So again, a really interesting art space on the campus. And of course, our medical biology centre. So Queen's is very well known for its cutting edge research in cancer. So again, that's another very interesting dynamic centre. Lots of very global leading research happening there. So if you're thinking about a programme within medicine, health or life sciences, do go and check that out. We've invested over £700 million in our campus over the last 10 years. So, that isn't just limited to those specialist facilities. This is going into all of our student facilities as well. So places like the Maclay Library, which is actually a world ranked library. It was ranked #1 not so long ago. Our Queen's Law School, again, very modern build that was opened a couple of years ago. The Computer Science Building, which you can see in that photograph, and our brand new Students' Union. So this really is the home of student life on campus. It's a little bit of an alien concept sometimes, the Students' Union, for people who are coming to study with us from outside the UK. But this is where we would have our sabbatical officers based. Those are the student reps on campus. It's where all the clubs and societies run from. And of course, it's where we offer a lot of our student support services as well. So that's a brief overview of Queen's. I would like to take an opportunity to say a little bit about Northern Ireland as well. You can see some absolutely stunning photographs in front of you there of some of our most iconic sites. So the Dark Hedges, for any Game of Thrones fans, of course, you'll know Northern Ireland is where that TV series was filmed. The Giant's Causeway, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Titanic Belfast Museum, and of course Missenden Temple, which is one of the oldest libraries on the island of Ireland and is situated above one of the most beautiful beaches on the island as well. So if you haven't visited us before, You can see Northern Ireland is marked there on the map. So geographically, we are part of the island of Ireland. We're situated on the north of the island, but politically and economically, we are part of the UK. So that can sometimes seem a little bit confusing to students. Am I studying in Ireland or am I studying in the UK? Well, essentially, you're coming to a UK institution, so you get that really strong British university experience, but you get to do that on the island of Ireland, which means that with that brilliant university experience, you're also getting a really unique cultural welcome. So we think actually that's something very unique to Queen's, very unique to Northern Ireland, that you can pair that academic rigor with a really beautiful cultural experience and exposure to some of the most stunning parts of the UK. Northern Ireland is very well known for that warm Irish welcome. We have a fantastically diverse society in Northern Ireland now, and increasingly that's the case in Belfast City as well. We're known to be a very fun and friendly place. People in Northern Ireland don't take themselves too seriously. We're very well known for wanting to have the crack, as it's known. That's a slang word here, spelled C-R-A-I-C, and essentially that means having good fun. So people like to be very lighthearted, have a good time, and I think our students really enjoy that as well. We have very unique culture and some absolutely stunning landscapes to share with our students as well. So just to give you a flavour of some of that, we'll start with Belfast City. So obviously this is where the university is based. What you can see in front of you now is Belfast City Hall. So that's a really kind of central landmark in the city. This would be where the main shopping district is, where lots of our cafes, restaurants, bars, and so on would be based. Belfast has a population of around 300,000 people, so we're quite a small city, and I think again that offers something brilliant for students because we're a very compact place. It's very easy to get around on foot. Students don't really need to use public transport. Most of our students get everywhere on foot or by bicycle. So the cost of that also obviously is very minimal, which is brilliant for a student budget. And Belfast is really known for being quite a vibrant place. So things that you'll see there in front of you are our cathedral quarter, where we have lots of very quirky restaurants and bars, some of our street art, which again, in the past, we would have had a lot of political murals. Obviously, Northern Ireland has a very rich political history and has gone through a peace process. But now we're seeing all of that beginning to shift into a much more dynamic, youthful form of artwork appearing on our streets. So if you do come here, that's one of the first things you'll notice is lots of this really quirky graffiti around the city. We're a very diverse and multicultural place, as I said, so we enjoy celebrating things like the annual Pride event in Belfast, the Belfast Mela Festival, and you'll find, particularly within the university community, we have students from all over the world, and that's something that we really value. So a couple of little highlights here for you, just to give you a flavour of some of those landscapes I mentioned. This is the Causeway Coast. You can see the cliffs there that run all the way around the island. So brilliant for anyone who's interested in hiking, in the outdoors, and particularly in water sports. We have 31 beaches that are within an hour and a half of the Belfast campus, so it's very easy to get there. And we have lots of different clubs and societies on campus that would support that. So things like the surfing club, things like the water skiing club and so on. So all of those clubs and societies are very low cost for students to join, and we run lots of different excursions around the country. The Gobbins Cliff Path is another fantastic experience that you can go and enjoy. Lots of really fantastic marine life around the coastline as well. So anyone interested in marine biology, this is really one of our strong points too. And it would be remiss of me not to mention the Mourne Mountains. So this is one of our most dynamic mountain landscapes within Northern Ireland. Fantastic for those who are interested in the great outdoors. And I know Peter, who's going to be coming on after me shortly, is a big fan of this. So if anyone wants any hiking tips, he's the man to go to. Okay, so Peter is actually going to pop on now and take over for the next section of the presentation, but I'll see you again at the end. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Anya. So yes, I'm going to talk you through some of the academic side of life at Queen's, so some of the programs you might study and what studying at Queen's actually looks like on a day-to-day basis, and how you might apply to the university. So Queen's is made up of three main faculties, and faculties is our terminology here for departments, really, for sort of big subject areas. So those three faculties are the Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences, the Faculty of Engineering and Physical Sciences, and the Faculty of Medicine, Health and Life Sciences. And these are basically broad subject areas. So underneath these will sit individual schools, and within those schools will sit individual programs, or as we call them, courses. So these would be the actual degrees that you would be studying when you come to Queen's. We, as Anya mentioned, have a wide range of subjects that are very highly ranked. You know, they're internationally regarded as being of a world-class standard, and 10 of those subject areas are individually ranked in the top 200 in the world. So there are a list there among them, are the likes of nursing, pharmacy, archaeology, so on and so forth. I won't read them all out to you, but again, this is just a hallmark of the quality of academic teaching that you would experience if you come to study at Queen's. Those 10 subjects, though, aren't all the subject areas. We have over 100 bachelor's programs at Queen's, and these can be taken in either single or joint honours. You may know already about the UK education system, but if not, it is generally a 3-year undergraduate major here. So you declare your major at the point of application, and you go straight into that program on day one. So there's no general education. There's no sort of taking a year or two of mixed curriculum and then specialising. You do go into your specialist major from the very start and stick with it all the way through. So if you want to study biology, all you're going to be studying is biology. You're not going to be taking English or geography or anything else. Most of the programs are single honours. Occasionally there are joint honours, and these are typically to pair either similar subject areas or to pair a subject area with a language, for example. While it is a 3-year undergraduate major, typically there is the option for a lot of our programs to add additional year to take what we would call an internship or a placement option. I think the terminology in the US and Canada is a co-op year. So that's to take an additional year between your second and third years to go off and work for a year and gain some work experience before coming back to finish your academic program. So if you are looking for a 4-year model, there is the option to do that, but instead of general education, you go out and get very specific work experience. Study is normally done in 2 main teaching semesters. So the first one runs September to December, and the second one runs from January through to May. And students would study 3 modules per semester. Now, a module is a class. So you would take 3 classes in each semester for a total of 6 in each year. And then in your final year, in that 3rd year of study, you also do a big research project. So every student comes out with their own individual research project towards the end. Teaching is done in a mixture of traditional lectures, so the large lecture halls with a professor, and through tutorials and seminars. So these are much smaller classes. You're talking maybe 10, 12 students in a room with the same professor who would take the lectures, but to discuss things in much more detail. And obviously more technical subjects, those seminars will be replaced with laboratory time or workshop time, depending on what you're studying. The UK education system is a little bit different to what you might experience elsewhere in the world. There is a lot more focus on independent study, so giving students the room to go on their own educational journey. So you have the opportunity to go out and find the little niche areas of your subject that really interest you and to pursue those in your assessment. Similar to that, we don't have routine assessment in the way you might experience in the US and Canada. So there aren't weekly quizzes and things like that. It tends to be more single points of assessment. So those could be research papers, it could be exams, it could be practical workshops. These will vary by program, so depending on the degree that you choose, and will vary by style over the years. But it is much more about building your learning over a longer period of time, rather than that sort of the continuous assessment model you might see elsewhere. Some popular programs, just to bring this to life a little bit, that US and Canadian students have studied on in the past in Queen's, things like computer science. And again, this is one of the subjects you can study at direct entry. So if you want to do computer science, you can take it as a straight undergraduate major. The same is true for the likes of law and medicine, psychology. All of these sort of professional majors can be taken directly at undergraduate level. There's no need for pre-law or pre-med or anything like that. You go straight into it. Should be said for the likes of medicine and dentistry, those are slightly longer. So those are 5-year programs instead of 3, but it is direct entry at undergraduate level. So we completely understand that having to choose your major before you apply is a pretty big step, and it's a pretty big jump, but there's loads of information available to help you make that decision. On the Queen's website, there's something called the course finder. So as I said, our terminology for a degree is a course. So you can jump on the course finder and view the content of those 100 different bachelor programs that we offer. And those will tell you sort of class by class, year by year, what you can expect. So it'll tell you the subject content, and you can really feel it out and find the major that fits you the best. Of course, you don't have to do this on your own. Myself and Anya and the North America team are here for this. We are more than happy to provide guidance to help you find programs you're interested in. So if you come to us and say, you know what, I kind of like English, but I'm not sure which direction to go, we can talk you through the program options within English at Queen's and put you in touch with program directors, with professors, with current students, just anybody that you need to talk to get a little bit more of a flavour of what it's going to look like day to day. So please, if you are thinking whether you know a specific subject that you're interested in or you have no idea where to start, reach out to us and we will guide you along that journey quite happily. We do also have a huge range of virtual events, both live events like this one or available on the website, so events that have been done recently that we've recorded. You can catch up on those and hear from the people who actually teach on the programs. One thing that is quite unique about UK education is that all of that teaching is actually done by professors. So very rarely will you encounter sort of teaching by grad students and stuff. You will be getting taught by professors, and it is those people that we would direct you to find out more about the subject, because our academic colleagues are hugely enthusiastic. As Anya mentioned, we're a research-led university, so all of our academic staff are actively creating new knowledge in the areas that they're teaching, which means they're engaged with the current and the future content of their subject areas, and are more than happy to talk to prospective students about what the program looks like now and what it might look like in a few years' time. So as I said, the website is the best resource. Just jump on the course finder, have a little look, or talk to me and Anya. In terms of coming to Queen's, obviously the degree is central to that, and choosing a subject area is a huge part of your experience, but also there's everything else at university. You might be in classes 15, 20 hours a week, so what are you going to do with the rest of your time? And there's a fantastic opportunity to have a wonderful student experience at Queen's. We have over 200 clubs and societies, and these range from the traditional things that you would think of, so the likes of our sports societies or debating political societies, all the way through to just hobbies and special interest groups. So could be things like a volunteering society where you go out and spend time in the community. Could be helping to pick up litter off the ground, whatever it may be. Just there are different ways to spend your time, but amongst our student body of 24,000 students, you will almost certainly find your people when you come to university at Queen's. And the clubs and societies are the perfect vehicle for that. A lot of those are run through our Students' Union, which Anya mentioned earlier. And the Students' Union is a body of students that are elected. So any student can run to work in the Students' Union, and they run an election and all students vote for them. And then they go away for a year to run different interest areas. And one of those is around clubs and societies, but there are some for volunteering, there's some for academic issues. So that is an option as well. Sport also is a huge part of life at Queen's, and this is from entry-level sport. So if you're thinking you're coming to Ireland to study, you want to try maybe Gaelic games, which are Irish sports, you could start those as a complete beginner. But similarly, if you're performing at a high level already, the UK education system is fantastically set up to support high-achieving athletes who also want to achieve exceptionally good degrees. So we have athletes competing all the way up to Olympic level, and also at the same time studying for a degree in medicine or studying for a degree in law. And the system here is much more balanced to allow students to do both. There is a huge range of student support and international student support. There are 3,500 international students at Queen's currently, so this is a well-trodden path. There's a student wellbeing service. They are there to support you for all your, I guess, the needs outside of the classroom. So if you need any counselling, any academic support, or just a little bit of help settling in. So things like, how do I find a bank account in a new country? How do I make my cell phone work when I move to the UK? Just all these little day-to-day things. The Student Wellbeing Service is there to support that. And they're physically located right in the heart of campus at the Student Guidance Centre. You will also be assigned a personal tutor within your school, so within your programme area. And this tutor is one of your academic professors. And this isn't a tutor in the sense of teaching you how to write or, you know, helping you with your mathematics, things like that. This is somebody who's there for your wider academic issues. So if you have questions about a paper that you're trying to write, if you need a little bit of help adjusting to UK study habits, things like that, your academic tutor will be there to guide you through it. And as I mentioned, the Students' Union is there also, and they can provide advice on a range of issues, both things within the university, but then things outside the university. You know, in later years, if you're going to try and find some private housing with some friends you've made, maybe they can help you with dealing with landlords, with setting up contracts for things like your internet, all that kind of thing. So the Students' Union is a fantastic resource for that also. As I mentioned, student housing, I move on to our own accommodation. So you'll see the term accommodation used on the Queen's website, and this refers to student housing. We have a huge range of options, both in the city centre and a little bit more suburban. But as Anya mentioned, Belfast isn't that big a place. You can walk pretty much everywhere, and all of our housing is within walking distance of the campus. So whether you choose that city centre stuff for a little bit of a livelier life, or the suburban stuff out in the quiet, leafy neighbourhoods of South Belfast, you're still going to be a maximum 15-minute walk from the campus. Virtually all of our rooms are private rooms. So there's no sharing a room with a stranger when you get to Queen's. You get your own bedroom, and most of our rooms now are also en suite as well, so they come with a private bathroom. There are shared bathroom options, and there's a variation in price, and that will determine that. But you have the option to choose whichever you prefer. There is 24-hour care provided throughout our student housing by a team of residential assistants. So these are our RAs, and the RAs are current students who have lived in our housing for a year or two and are there just to help you settle in, figure out how to work the laundry, where the nearest grocery store is, all of this kind of thing. So the RAs are there. They also organise our social calendar. So they will organise day trips to some of the fantastic places that Anya mentioned earlier, the likes of our Causeway Coast or to the Mourne Mountains, but also to places like IKEA to get your first bits of furniture. You obviously have everything provided in your room when you move in, but to get those little extra home comforts. So the RA team will do all of that. The costs are exceptionally good, really, for the quality that you're getting. You're looking at about £125 per week, so that's UK pound sterling. It's about $170, and that includes all of your utilities, so your high-speed internet, your heating, your water, all of that kind of thing is included. One thing to note as well, you do also get the room for the entire academic year. You don't need to move out over the holidays. So if you're staying in Belfast, you know, over Halloween or over the winter break, you don't have to move out of your room. It is yours for the entire academic year. Your room is your home while you're here, so it is yours to do with as you please. You can find out more about our accommodation again on the website. There's virtual tours, there's fantastic little videos doing sort of walk-arounds of the different room types. So I would encourage you to jump on there and see the options for living on campus. On to some of the gritty detail now. So the application process. If you're not familiar with UK applications yet, they are largely conducted through a system called UCAS. Now, this is similar to the likes of the Common Application in the United States. It is the University and College Admission Service for the UK. So for all UK universities, you would apply through UCAS. There is a small application fee through UCAS of about, I think it's £25, which is about $31 US. And that covers all 5 applications. It's just an administration fee, so you don't have to pay for individual applications. It is one single application, one single application fee. UCAS allows you to make up to 5 choices, and this could be 5 programs at one university. It could be the same program at 5 different universities, but 5 is your maximum. Again, we talk about picking your major and stuff up front. The UK system is very much about front loading your research. So do the research, find out the places you really want to apply to, and apply to them. I'm going to touch on entry requirements in a moment, but one thing to note about the UK system is that it is very transparent. We will tell you exactly what you need to apply before you apply, so that you know the universities that you're looking at, whether they're a good fit for you academically or not. Our admissions process is based largely on academic merit, so that means you can narrow down your choices really to universities that you know you stand a good chance of getting an offer from. We operate a conditional offer system, and what this means is you can apply to the university before you've met the entry requirements. So you can apply on the basis of what you are planning to do in your senior year. You don't have to have taken all of your courses, all of your tests before you apply. So when you see the entrance requirements in a moment, please don't be alarmed if you haven't done some of these things, because you can apply on the basis of what you are planning to do. And we would then issue something called a conditional offer. So if you met, if we think you meet our academic standard, we would issue you a conditional offer, which is a guaranteed place subject to you meeting some requirements. So that might be, scoring a 4 in your final AP test, or getting an 80% in your grade 12 course in chemistry, whatever it may be. It will be a tailored offer specific to your educational background. There are some deadlines involved with UCAS for medicine and dentistry. That deadline is the 15th of October at 5:59 p.m. UK time, to be very specific. That is a hard deadline. So there is no late application option for medicine and dentistry. For other programs, for other courses, the deadline for UCAS is the 26th of January. And these are obviously to start in September 2022. That is a deadline that we would advise for what we would call equal consideration. So that is also the deadline for students in the UK to apply. So that is a good time to apply and give yourself the best chance of getting an offer. Applications technically are open beyond that through to the 30th of June, but we would encourage you to get it in for the 26th of January. And as I said, I can't emphasize enough, for medicine and dentistry, the 15th of October is a hard deadline. In terms of entry requirements then, for the USA, we are essentially looking for what we call a combination of 3, and that is to meet the equivalent of UK entry requirements. UK students study something called A-levels, and when you go on the course finder and you look at our different course options, you will see A-level requirements. So our US and Canadian entry requirements are matched to those A-level requirements. For the USA, that means giving us either an SAT with a score of 1290 or above, or an ACT with 27 and above. Instead of that, we could also accept multiple AP classes, typically grades 4 or 5 with AP tests, or if you've previously taken SAT subject tests, usually scores of 600 or 650 and above are acceptable. We do know those have been discontinued, but if you have taken them previously, we will still accept them. We can also accept college or honours level classes, usually with a grade about B+, in place of one of those requirements. So again, you're looking at getting 3 of those things. So it could just be 3 APs. It could be 2 APs and an honours class. It could be 2 APs and an SAT. It is a little bit of a mix and match approach to get you there. But again, that is what myself and Anya are here for. We're more than happy to talk about your own academic background and how it might fit the Queen's entry requirements. For Canada, we're typically looking at an average of between 75 and 80% across grade 12 courses. There is slight variation on that depending on your province, but that is a good ballpark figure. One thing you will notice when you go on the course finder is that some of our specialist majors will require specific subject tests. So this is particularly relevant in areas like STEM. So if you're applying for chemistry, for example, you will likely need an AP test in chemistry or a grade 12 course in chemistry. But again, we can help guide you through those specific requirements. And they are on the website on either the USA or Canada country pages. In terms of fees, we operate what we hope is quite a clear and transparent fee structure. There are essentially 2 main fee rates. One is for majority classroom-based subjects, and the other is for majority laboratory-based subjects. So our classroom fee rate is £17,900. Our laboratory fee rate is £22,000, and this is per academic year. It is a single tuition fee. This doesn't vary depending on the number of classes you take or anything like that. That is your fee for the year. So it is tied to the programs. It's not tied to a particular number of credits. So you won't get to a situation where you haven't met your credit load, you've got to pay extra. It doesn't work like that. It is just a single clear fee. And of course, it is only for 3 years instead of 4 typically in the US or Canada. We don't charge things like campus or book fees, so you won't be paying thousands of dollars for textbooks. We have a wonderful award-winning library on campus, and all of the books you will need for your program are available through that. So you won't be expected to pay any book fees or additional fees to use any facilities on campus. That all comes as part of the package. As Anya mentioned previously as well, we do have the lowest cost of living out of any UK region. So all those other costs, things like housing, your social life, your travel, all of that is lower than anywhere else in the UK. You are looking at total cost of attendance before we look at things like scholarships. Total cost of attendance of around £23,000 to £28,000 per year, depending on the programme of study. So it will be a little bit lower for classroom-based subjects in the areas like arts, humanities, things like that. A little bit higher for laboratory-based subjects, the likes of our STEM programs. Medicine and dentistry do carry their own fee rates, and unfortunately they are quite a considerable amount higher. So £40,050 for medicine per year and £34,100 for dentistry. We are a public institution, so these costs just reflect the cost of delivering the programs. So we're not for profit, and medicine and dentistry is just a little bit more expensive to deliver because of the heavy clinical aspects of those programs. You spend a lot of time in hospitals working with patients, and that unfortunately costs a little bit more. So just down the bottom left there, you can see estimates per year of total cost of attendance. So that is everything. That is your tuition, your housing, your visas, your travel, your social life, your mobile phones or cell phones. That is everything as a high estimate. But of course, there is variation depending on where you live, the style of life, what you do, your social time, all that kind of thing. And at the bottom table, you can see some of those comparative costs. I talk about us being, the lowest cost region. Just for housing alone, Belfast, you're looking at an average of about £4,500 compared to north of £7,000 in the likes of Dublin, London, and Edinburgh. In terms of funding, though, there are ways to reduce that. And actually, for the next academic year, every international student is looking at a guaranteed minimum scholarship of £2,500. So I'll just move myself out of the way there so you can see that properly. So you're looking at guaranteed minimum of £2,500 through our International Office Scholarship. There are also then a range of other scholarship awards that students can apply for, up to a maximum value really of about 50% of tuition fees through the Vice Chancellor's Award. But there are other awards listed there, the likes of Future Leaders Award, family scholarships, if you have parents or grandparents who have come to Queen's before. But essentially the takeaway message from this is don't expect to pay that headline fee. You will get that guaranteed minimum of an international award, but there are other ways we can work to bring your fees down. A typical example there is at the bottom. So for the likes of our bachelor's program in international relations, it carries a fee of £17,900. But when you apply the minimum awards of International Office Award and Early Confirmation Award, it actually comes out at £13,900, which really is fantastic value considering the standing of the university. It should be said as well, US and Canadian federal loans are applicable to study at Queen's. So if you're applying through FAFSA in the United States, you can do that, and using Canadian provincial loans, you can also apply those to Queen's. We do have a range of athletic scholarships as well for exceptionally talented athletes, which can also help add a little bit. It won't be any full rides, but it can certainly help just with some of those living and studying costs. If you have any questions around federal loans, around funding, of course, myself and Anya can help, but we have a dedicated awards officer as well, our colleague Rita at the university, who can help you both figure out cost of attendance, figure out that FAFSA application, all that, but can also help with administering Canadian student loans as well. So if you've got any questions about your federal aid allowance, what your loan package might look like, you can drop Rita an email at usloans@qub.ac.uk. Same address can be used for Canadian students as well. Apologies for the email address. That is Queen's in a nutshell, to be quite honest. we hope it's given you a good overview of what is available for you here at the university and here in Northern Ireland. If you've got any questions, please do reach out and get in touch. Our email address is northamerica@qub.ac.uk. We're happy to answer any questions by email. We're also happy to set up a time to chat one-on-one via video or by phone if you want. But I think maybe Anya has been keeping an eye on the chat box and we might have some questions to deal with now. Please feel free to fire any more in there that you have.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Peter. And thanks everyone for the questions that have been coming in as well. I've picked up some of those as we have gone along, but I think it would probably be quite helpful to address some of them for everybody. So Peter, I might throw one at you just to kick us all off. So a question came in from Finnegan. Finnegan was asking, are there English language requirements that have to be met?
So great question. If you are a student who is, living in a country where English is the first language, if you've done your education with English as the main first language, there is no English language requirement. So for students coming from the US and Canada, the short answer to that is no, because they are countries with English as the first language, so no requirements.
Thanks, Peter. Another one that I'll pick up was around professional programs. So Kim, you had asked us what credentials do US students have at the end of one of those professional programs, and how do those programs translate back to the USA? So the short answer is that there is a route back. So if someone came to study law, for example, what they can do is apply to certain states to take the bar exam. So for example, if you have a UK law degree, you can take the bar exams in New York or California. There may well be more states now that I'm not aware of, but our law school would have much more detailed information about that. So it would essentially be the same process as someone hoping to qualify for the bar in the US. They would just need to take that statewide exam. For medicine, as with everything with medicine, it's always a little bit more complicated. Essentially, students who are wanting to translate their UK medical degree would also have to take exams in the US as well. Now, again, we have much more detailed information about that within the medical school. So if you have if you would like a little bit more information, I suppose, about either of those particular programs, do get in touch with us. What we can do is put you in contact with someone in the relevant faculty, and they can walk you through that process in a lot more detail. Okay, Peter, I'm going to throw another one at you, if that's okay. So we had a really good question in from Olivia. Olivia was asking, do we offer study abroad programs, and how easy are those from a logistical standpoint?
Oh, great question. We do offer study abroad programs. Now, is this, I'm going to bounce the question back to you, is this studying abroad at Queen's or studying abroad from Queen's out the way?
That's a very good clarification, Peter. I made the assumption that it was, can I do a study abroad program whilst I'm doing an undergraduate degree at Queen's? So if you want to field that one, I can pick up the other end of it.
Yes, is the short answer to that. So you can take a study abroad program, which might sound odd when you're already coming to study abroad, but you can essentially study abroad. So yeah, you can come, and depending on your program, you can take a semester or a year to go to a third country. And the university has links all over the world. So it could be France, Spain, somewhere in Europe, or it could be South Korea, Australia, you name it. So there is a study abroad office within Queen's, and they can help you apply and go off and take a semester or a year somewhere else as well.
Perfect. And we've had students from the US and Canada who have come to us for their degree and then actually taken a study abroad back in their home country. So if you want to go and do a study abroad program at an institution in the States, just so you've experienced both, that's something you can do too. But just to pick up on Peter's very helpful question to me, if you are also thinking about coming to Queen's on a study abroad program, so if, for example, you choose to do your undergraduate program in the US or Canada, but you'd still like to get a flavour of what it's like to study at Queen's, you can come to us for a semester or for a full year. The process for that is different. It's a lot more straightforward because you're not coming to us for a degree, you're just coming for a semester of credit in most cases. So yeah, you can do both those things, Olivia. Okay, let's see. Alexandra has asked, is Belfast a safe city? Do you want to take that one, Peter?
Absolutely. Officially, according to the very dull British Office for National Statistics, Belfast is the safest city in the United Kingdom. It is still a city. Will we pretend that it's some sort of wonderful utopia? Of course not. But generally speaking, Belfast is a wonderful city to live in. It's the type of city you can walk around in. You know, crime rates are very low, and students here are very comfortable. You know, Belfast is a young people's city, which is very important. I think half of the population, just under, I think it's 49% of the population of Belfast are under the age of 30. So it is a city that is very much based around student life and the life of young people and young professionals in the city. And a lot of the lifestyle and culture is based around that. So it is a city where you should feel very comfortable to live. And be an international student. It's not something we ever have too many issues with. So yeah, wonderfully safe and welcoming part of the world to live in.
Thanks, Peter. I have another little question I'm going to pick up here from Tanish, who's asking, is the UCAT required for the medicine program application process? Yes, it is. And again, on our course finder page, you'll find lots more detailed information about the process and a link through to how we manage that at Queen's. So the UCAT is part of that. There's also an interview process that happens. So if you're thinking about applying for next September, Tanish, I would really recommend going and familiarizing yourself with all of that process as soon as you can, because that deadline is fast approaching. Okay, let's see. Peter, I'm going to throw one to you from Gabby. Do you accept ACT super scores or just the composite?
Great question. I would have to go and ask one of the admissions team on that one. I believe it's just a composite score, but we will ask.
Yeah, we can double check that one for you. Let's just see if there's any other questions here that I have missed. Do keep them coming in, guys. If anything else is coming to mind, please make the most of the time. Okay, let's see. Here's another one. Do students send official transcripts and test scores at the time of application or after admissions? And do they send those to UCAS or to each university separately? Do you want to go for that one, Peter?
I will indeed. So UCAS does give you the ability to submit your test scores at the point of application, same with transcripts, and we would ask that you do that. If you can't figure it out, UCAS can be a little bit tricky at times, finding where to put the right scores. You can absolutely send them directly to us. We don't need official transcripts at the point of application, but if you have them, send them anyway, because we will need them eventually. We'll need them to confirm your place. So please just, if you have them, send them, but you can send us official transcripts to start with, if that's what you've got in hand. But yeah, if you can get it in through UCAS, that would be perfect, because then it will go to every choice. If you can't, just send them on to us, and we can pass them to the relevant admissions officer. And I just do, I've caught another similar question there from Kim, which is just about submitting student materials. If you are a college advisor, send those things directly to us. We can pass them on to the admissions team. That's no problem.
Yeah, and just to emphasize what Peter said there as well, you know, we really act as the key point of contact for all students from the US and Canada. So we're really happy to help with any questions at any point in the admissions process. So that's from right now at the very beginning of that journey, right through to, you know, 2-3 weeks before you've arrived and students are thinking about, you know, visas and so on. So please do get in contact with us with anything that you might need to know. We're very, very happy to field any questions that you have. I can see another one's come in there about letters of recommendation and how important they are. So that is something we welcome as part of the application process. To shine a little bit more light on how UK admissions work. I know this can be quite complicated in a lot of US institutions in particular. Our process is really very transparent. The most important thing for the institution is your academic standing. So that is the thing that the admissions team are going to be most interested in. So when you submit your application, often what we'll see coming in, obviously, is details of all the grades or that you've achieved so far, a statement of purpose, your personal statement, essentially, which is saying why you want to come to do the program that you've chosen, and then those letters of recommendation as well. Those are things that we like to see. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is your grades. So that's where we want to see your energy focused.
Just to follow up on that very briefly, Anya, what I would say is there is just a single letter of recommendation that is asked for as part of UCAS, but also there's a wonderful range of guidance on the UCAS website as to the structure of that for a UK application, and the same for your personal statement. So if you want to know what needs to be in those, because it can be very different from what might be expected in the US or Canada, jump on the UCAS website because there's fantastic guidance on what it should look like, who should write it, all that kind of thing. But just the one letter for us.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The UCAS website is a fantastic resource. So there's loads of information on there. Do go check it out. Okay, let's see. There's another question. I think Peter and I might have to brainstorm this one together. There's a program on our website called Design Engineering. What would that be called in North America?
Good one.
I think I might have to ask the program director what that translation would be. I'm not sure what the US terminology would be.
I don't know what the US terminology would be. It is a program that sits in the wider field of mechanical engineering. I know that much. So depending, and you'll see this variation across the UK, and it's a good question to open up sort of a wider talking point. Different UK universities will, they might have a program with a very similar name, but you will actually find out what that program is about under the course content section of the website. So that's where you'd look through sort of year by year, semester by semester, as to what the subject matter actually is. So I think design engineering, I think the full title is product design engineering at Queen's. And that is very much about industrial design. So this is designing things as opposed to designing buildings or other forms of engineering. This is about designing individual products. So it could be called product design somewhere else. It could be called industrial engineering, design for industry is a term that I've heard before, or just broader. In the US, you're more likely to find it just called mechanical engineering, and then you would specialize in your classes later on in those sort of third and fourth years or junior and senior years. So probably mechanical engineering, but yeah, we can bat that one to one of our academic colleagues.
Brilliant. Thanks, Peter. And one other wee thing just to add to that actually would be if you are looking about different websites and you're seeing different names for different programs, something that's helpful just to look out for is the accreditation that's attached to the program. So generally, if you're looking for something that is really a professionalized program, like something in engineering, for example, you should see those, well-known accreditations attached to the program. That's quite a good way to sift down to what that is. Okay, let's see. So I'll pick up a question here. Is there housing over summer break if a student wanted to remain during the break? The short answer is yes, our accommodation contracts are flexible. So that is something that you can negotiate directly with the accommodation team. We do have standard contracts. So for most students, in most cases, they will be there for term time, and then students will leave over the summer, and the university will then rent out those rooms over the summer period to people coming on summer schools or on other programs. But there is flexibility. So that's just something that you would need to negotiate with the accommodation team separately. And there would obviously be an additional charge for that, but it's very much doable. Okay. I think we may have come to the end of our questions, which is absolutely right on time at 7 o'clock our time. So I want to honor everybody's time today. I'm conscious this is the weekend, it is your Sunday, and I'm sure you have some exciting things lined up for the rest of your day. So just want to say again, thanks for being with us this evening. It's wonderful to spend some time with you. Peter and I are really happy to take any follow-ups. So you can see the email address there in front of you, northamerica@qub.ac.uk. We do offer one-to-one calls. So if you wanted to book in a video call with us and talk in a little bit more detail, you're very welcome to do that at any point. And we know that it can be a challenging time making all your university choices, and thinking about doing a degree abroad, of course, brings additional complexity. So we just want to wish you well with that. Do use the resources on the Queen's website, and we hope that you have a brilliant rest of your day. Thanks so much for being here.